Today I'm going to go through our 1 ton mini digger from China. So it's actually made by a company called Everun, and I'll try and go through the good and the bad points about it, and obviously hopefully it'll help someone out there who's either looking at buying one or, like me, most of the thing in buying this was to learn. So yeah, at the start, so how did I find Everun? I started on Alibaba and basically just Google search from there, ended up in like a rabbit hole of, different companies, and obviously stumbled across Everun. So you can see the company here, and these are the manufacturers, so I'm told, so I'm led to believe that that's what obviously made me want to go with them. All the others I've seen were sort of middlemen, whereas these, were sending me videos of the factory and all that, and I thought, okay, yeah, come on, let's give this a go. And when I looked at it, all their social media and website, etc., was just nice and clean, and the models looked good, etc. But yeah, so I have actually made notes because there's that much to say about this digger since we've had it. So I bought it, when did I get it? I paid for it the 21st of April, and we paid, you ready? Can you guess? I paid $6,220. So it was actually, I think it was $5,000 for the digger, and then we had some extra buckets and a rake and some of the attachments that come with it, which totaled $6,220, which is nowadays is £4,956. So when I ordered it, obviously it was a bit of a gamble because I just literally bank transferred this company like $5,000, and that was it. Just literally like, right, let's take a gamble and go. But to give you a bit of an idea, transferred that, and then obviously it went into production, and I think it was 30 days to have it manufactured, and then 30 days shipping, and then a UK forwarder then obviously emailed me and said, hi, we've got a parcel with your obviously details on, can you provide the following information? So I'll put an attachment on now of basically what they ask for. So they ask for like an invoice, so they want to know how much you've paid for it, how much it weighs, and then also the commodity number, I think it is. So basically everything that you import will have a different number, and depending on that you'll either pay more or less tax. So I'm surprised, because obviously you'd think ordering a digger from China that it would have an additional charge, because obviously you'd think they'd want you to use UK companies. However, we only paid VAT on this. There was no extra charge, a commodity charge maybe it's called, which was good. However, there was some hidden fees from the actual sender, so the forwarder, not the company. So the company Everun just use obviously a local Chinese forwarder. So for those that don't know, I didn't have a clue. A forwarder is basically someone who looks after your shipment. So they will, log it into the system, handle everything, and you can have a UK forwarder and a Chinese forwarder, and then you'll have the shipping company. So you'll have a sender who uses a forwarder, who you then uses a shipping company, who then uses an English forwarder, who then obviously gets in contact with you and gets it obviously delivered to you, or in this case we picked it up. So there was some hidden fees here, there was a hidden ship fee of £570, and they disguise this in different ways. However, I've delved a little deeper, and it's to do with the weight. So it's not really to do with the cost of the item, it's to do with the weight. So if you were to buy a 2 ton of steel and just have it on a pallet and ship it, they would somehow come up with a calculation of what they charge basically for it's to do with the weight and the size. So if you were to buy, a tiny little box and it weighed loads, or if you were to buy, a huge, full container and it didn't weigh much, there's a weird little calculation they do which somehow comes up with this extra fee. However, 570, in terms of the bigger picture, it wasn't as much as it could have been. And then on top of that, we paid VAT, so that was 991. So in total, this digger's cost me, from ordering in China to picking it up in Manchester, it was £6,517, which, when you compare that to a UK one, say a JCB, so a 0.9 tonne JCB is £20,100. So you could have 3 of these for the price of 1 JCB. So yeah, the reason, so obviously when you're starting out, I scraped together $5,000 or 6,500. It'd be harder for me to scrape together £20,000. And also, I offer this advice on the houses to people. So when people are getting started in building and they send me jobs and they'll send me like a deal that they've seen and they'll say, what do you think of this? And I'll go, well, do you know what? Like, it's a bit big for your first one. Like, if it's this the first house you've done, what I'd do is I'd buy a little 50 grand house and just learn all your mistakes, because you will make so many mistakes, and to do it on a 50 grand house where it doesn't bankrupt you is better. So I had the same theory with this, that right, I'm just going to buy the small, well, they actually did a 0.8 digger, so I went with the 1 tonne, just because of the size and stuff, and it fitted on the trailer, and I thought, yeah, let's do that rather than a 0.8. And I think everyone who does this will have the same opinion. I need a bigger digger. So we have, some of the jobs we've done with this are, so the first job this was on was actually clearing the yard. So literally there was, bushes, like old tree stumps that we dug out. There was all sorts, and we literally threw it in at the deep end and it was doing everything. Then we've done, we made the crusher. So this crusher here, obviously this come in pieces when we got it shipped over from China as well, and we had to lift stuff on. So this was trying to lift everything onto it, obviously that digger. In the end, we ended up going to my mate's scrapyard where he had a full setup and a crane. Then we had obviously a new water main, so we dug a new water main for someone, and obviously this just made it a lot easier. We've done drains with it, western, so we dug the footings, we done the driveway, we did topsoil in the garden, and on western everything there was big, so obviously the footings were, I think it was about 16 linear meters. The garden was obviously a big garden, and the driveway was obviously a big driveway. So what else have we done with it? Yeah, and then obviously on the yard we've moved over 500 tonne of hardcore. Now, don't get me wrong, they're the jobs we've done with it. Oh, and we've even moved 500 kilogram CCTV concrete blocks with it, which, I don't think it's designed to do that, but we've done it, so you can see why I'm already thinking, I need a bigger one. However, there has been a lot of issues with this digger, considering we've only done 80 hours on it. So it's coming up to a year we've had it, and we've only done 80 hours. And let me just run through some of the faults, because, some of them are my fault, and that is justification of what I was thinking of buying a cheap digger, learning all the ropes, and obviously maybe, well, I'm I'll get to it at the end of the video, but we are looking at other plant now. But some of the issues, so the first issue was, what was the first issue? The first issue was this cover kept coming off. So literally it's just totally off now. So it was it used to clip into here. It was a red cover, and it was literally 1 millimeter thin. And you'd be using it and you just hear and like the most rattling noise ever. So that come off. This filter cover come off, which is here. But as you can see, it's just a load of loose. The main problem with this so far has just been loose screws. So maybe that's down to us not, checking it every single time we use it. However, you expect some sort of, vibration and, use out of it before having to check everything. So that come off. I mean, none of these things hopefully make a big difference. We did have an issue with the starter motor. So using it on Western, parked it up, come in the next day, and I don't know whether it's to do with obviously this ignition barrel. So this, now we've got a digger cover for it, so we do cover it because it was left obviously for a while, just obviously in the getting rain etc on it. And I'll show you a picture of, this is a new one now, but I'll show you a picture of the old one, and it's just deteriorated inside. This throttle gauge, this doesn't stick. I mean, it's a bit of a crap, like, oh, it's working again now, but basically you need it on full throttle. That's not, it's quite stiff. So you pull that up, oh, there you go. So that bit where it drops down, so that just, loses all the power of the engine. So we have like a clamp that lifts that up and holds it in place, so you've got full throttle. Otherwise, we were using this initially and not at like full power. So you're digging and you're thinking, oh, this is crap, I need a bigger one. And it was just actually that we didn't have the throttle on full. The other issue is obviously I think this has got wet, and then I don't know whether that's caused an issue with the starter motor. However, this starter motor like completely sort of disintegrated. So whether the battery's gone low or the engine takes quite a bit to turn it over, so you need quite a high crank on these batteries. And that's the other thing, when you're not using them every day, the battery on this, it just drains. So we have to put it on a trickle charge, otherwise like you'll come to use the digger and it just won't start. We had obviously when I was messing around with all these, we had a leak on the fuel line. I've got a new one of them, however we've CT1'd it and it's it's been working fine, so we've left that to it. I also had you can see here, so this arm completely snapped off, but again, probably my fault. I was trying to pull like a tree from from a rainforest down with this digger, and obviously realising now it's definitely not strong enough. So probably my fault. The company, by the way, whenever you get a year's warranty with all of this parts, so I WhatsApped the company and within a week the parts at my door, which I understand UK ones you can get next day and stuff, and like obviously for this, there was one time it was on the driveway of a job and the starter motor like disintegrated, and so there was literally no way of starting it. So I had to go and get a starter motor from obviously a UK supplier, and then obviously the Chinese supplier sent me a spare, so I have got a few spare bits. Some of the other issues we've had is again my fault, damaged the hose line. So we were like trying to push a tree over or something, and I like basically bent one of these lines and snapped one of the things. The hydraulic oil went low then, so we were using it another day and it wouldn't spin. So I now know how to top the hydraulic oil up, which I didn't. We've ran out of diesel, and anyone who knows, when you run out of diesel, it's a nightmare to then try and pull the diesel back through. So we've had to pump the line when you're trying to start it, and with the battery not being great on this digger anyway, what you don't want to do is just sit there trying to start it for 10 minutes. Right, I need to try and keep up with all the faults here. The seatbelt buckle went, so obviously not the safest if you sat on the digger. Obviously you should be clipped in. What else have we had? this button broke. So this button on another fault, there should be obviously a lever like this one, which is hollow with the wire coming through. However, this button broke, so they sent me 2 of these, which obviously that one's now working. It's on this one. However, this bit has also more recently snapped off, so you can see there. So they're currently sending me a new lever. We've had another issue where let me take this off, and you can see. So basically, what's happened is, so I've cut this out because otherwise you've got to undo like. Get that out of the way. That's quite a heavy plate actually, but I've cut this out because here's all the bolts and obviously the bits that come loose. So one thing is that the digger sort of rocks back and forth, and it was getting worse and worse, and it was to do with these big bolts you can see here, which clamp it down to obviously the turning circle, the cogs on that. Also, this motor actually spins there's a smaller cog which spins obviously the larger cog, which turns the digger left and right. This motor actually, the bolts, as you can see there, I mean, we've put bolts on, they come with Allen keys originally, so I've had to Loctite them in because basically that come loose, the cog fell out, and we were stuck on the yard not being able to turn the digger left and right. Again, obviously not great, but it's good to obviously learn. So now I know how the digger turns, the cogs, like, you know, all these troubleshooting things that we've now, you know, learned. However, it is very frustrating. One thing, we ran at the battery thing, and I looked at this, and because we've cut this out to make it easier to access these bolts that are constantly coming loose, I think obviously that plate's been there has been, you know, rubbing against that, and obviously caused some sort of thing. I don't know whether that's helped drain the battery. So that's another issue that we're now going to set up to try and make this more accessible, because otherwise you had 1, 2, 3, 4, I think you had about 8 bolts, and you had to take the actual frame of the digger off to get access to this. So I was just like, no, like the amount they were coming loose, I thought, we need to make something of that. So we're gonna obviously weld something else on here so that you can, it doesn't sit onto the battery. However, yeah, that was one of the issues. Right, let me keep up with all the issues here. Oh, tracks coming off. I mean, I suppose that happens on all of them. However, to go through that and know how to take this plate off, and you can release the pressure, put them back on, and then obviously grease gun that back on, greasing. So one of the other first issues we had was, you can see it in one of the episodes actually, where I was trying to weld this pin because it was just constantly coming loose, and that would come loose, and we actually had it where that come out, and this digger arm was just, literally like almost lying on the floor. And then we had it again with this one, so the pins were snapping, and that was my fault because first time I've owned the digger, I didn't have a clue about greasing obviously these joints. So you can see now we've probably over greased them. The other issue as well is that some of these came with straight nipples to grease. Obviously some of them are snapped off, like that one. So, I don't think I've greased that one. I didn't even see that. So that's the one I need to do. So they do actually show you on here everywhere that needs greasing. And then there's some other bits where obviously you can access lifting the seat up. And yeah, it's just getting to know all these parts of the digger. One thing that is a bad design is that, like, this is always, like, when someone uses the digger, like, that light's on. So, like, obviously this one turns the battery off, so obviously that won't come on. However, constantly, like whenever we're using the digger, that light's on because someone will, you can see obviously where it's worn there. Obviously I haven't used the light once, I don't think, intentionally. However, the location of it, obviously the light goes on. I think that's draining the battery as well. But one of the other issues we had was that, where is it? This one. So obviously you've got to try and grease that nipple, and like it was a straight one, so we changed that for an angled one. So that's what obviously kept snapping that pin. The quick hitch, I wish I'd got that, because obviously changing this over is a bit of a ball ache. What else have we got? What's on my notes? So the ignition barrel, the starter motor, the piston arm, the pins, the covers, loose screws, the throttle, air filter cover, seat belt, arm bolts, and the arm, snap hose line, tracks coming. Literally, hopefully I've gone through everything in it. Oh, one thing to mention is that's, you know, really, really annoying when you're on it is this clearance is just crap. So look at that, like, so a normal house brick gets stuck there. So if we're on the yard and you're not on, you know, I don't even know what clearance you've got there, like what, up to my hand there, my fingers length. And what also happens is that bricks get caught in the tracks here, and obviously that track won't turn left or right, and you've got to sort of turn the arm, lift the digger up, run the track back and forth so that the bricks fall out, and then normally when you do that the other side gets blocked. So definitely need a bigger digger that's got a bigger clearance, because obviously some of the stuff we're doing. I think I've gone through everything there on this. So now we're up to the point where, you know, nearly a year, 80 hours in, we've had all these issues, and some of them are self-inflicted, some of them are just down to like cheap bolts, cheap metal, and, you know, not like loose screws I'd say is the biggest one. However, would I buy it again? And the answer is yeah. We're already looking for, same company, looking at a bigger dumper, and it's just about obviously learning how to look after stuff. And I think we've probably battered this machine for, I mean, it's a 1 ton digger, and like when I send some of my mates, like we've cleared 500 ton of hardcore with this one digger on the yard, and cleared the whole yard. Like some of the stuff we've put it through, you know, we should be getting like a 13 ton digger and we're there on a 1 ton digger, absolutely battering it. So we've put it through its paces. However, you know, certain bits, yeah, obviously like these handles and stuff snapping, I mean, there's nothing I can do that. Oh, there's one bit I've missed which happened the other day, and it was really annoying as well, is this bolt here. So you can see I have just completely tack welded it, but it holds it in place so that you can obviously maneuver there's only 2 pistons on this one, so it's either like bring the arm in or out, and then obviously curl the bucket. So you need that bit for it to be able to work. So we were on the yard moving, we had 60 ton getting delivered, and I could not move. I couldn't move this because it was just all floppy. So I ended up going and tack welding it, and it's working again now. But again, I've sent that, so the company are going to send a new one of them out. I think that's it really, yeah. Other than that, I think it's been a good buy. So we wouldn't have been able to do the jobs we've done, and to have this in your company, so that rather than like having the burden of saying, oh yeah, I'm going to hire one for the day and sorting that out, just to be able to go and grab the digger and do that, and obviously you can drop it back off and it's all done. I mean, when I started this business, obviously the dream was to have a digger, and now I've got a digger, a concrete crusher, and we're looking at a dumper as well. So I did say this to one of the lads, Lewis, the other day. I said, do you think I'll ever stop? Because you just sort of go bigger and bigger and bigger. And at one point, I was dreaming of having a van, and now I've got 4, a digger, a crusher. And you'd think, obviously 5 years ago, if I'd have said that to myself, you'd go, oh yeah, that's amazing. You'd be buzzing with that. Whereas obviously I'm here now and I'm thinking, I need a bigger dumper, I need a bigger digger, I need this, I need that. So yeah, hopefully I will eventually stop and think, oh yeah, that's it, I can enjoy my time now. But I suppose if you stop in business, that's where if you stop investing and growing, that's when you die, isn't it? Because there'll be other people doing more than you. But yeah, really happy, to be fair, with this. So I'd fully recommend, if anyone does want to buy one, it's just obviously educating yourself on the maintenance side of it. So one thing on the yard is potentially we are going to start either importing these and selling them, or importing them and renting them out. Same with the crushers as well, because we've got a few. I'll do a video on that as well, showing you how we went through the process of buying that, finding it, ordering it, designing it, changing it to UK specs and stuff. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this. And one thing I've learned a lot on the YouTube side is that the followers, viewers are so knowledgeable about so many areas. So please do comment and tell me, stuff that we're doing well and not, and anything we can improve on these, because that's one thing that has blown me away, is just how knowledgeable everyone is and how happy they are to share, obviously, their knowledge, which goes a long way, trust me. I do take it all on board. So yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please give us a like, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. And if an advert comes up, please watch it, because we don't get paid if you skip it. Have a good day.